speaking of things that are not going as planned, not that things here are not going as planned, but it's taking a little bit longer than we all kind of thought. Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci have yet to sign. It is July 21st when we're recording this, and nothing has taken place on either of their fronts, at least officially, right? Like we've had the reports and all those things, but nothing official has come out yet. What do you think is the holdup here? Are they on an orange line train? Are David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron on an orange line train, and they're just waiting over the Mystic River to get to Warrior?
Hopefully that's not the case, Evan. When it comes down to it, I think there's two possible logical explanations as to why they haven't announced anything yet. First one, I think, is the Bruins want to clear cap space before both those guys put pen to paper, which would make sense. And the other is that I think they're just kind of navigating through the language of these contracts, which, I mean, Don Sweeney more or less alluded to it during his last press conference. If and when, maybe when in parentheses there, but if you get to that point where Bergeron and Krejci are signing, it's safe to assume it's going to be 1-year deals, probably very low base salary, and a whole lot of performance bonuses tacked onto it. And that's going to take time in terms of getting that, the proper language down for that, what's going to be the case. I don't think they're going to be necessarily haggling over the performance bonuses. I think when the Bruins signed Jerome McGinley back in 2013-14, I think his base salary was like $1.6 million. Easy to fit in there, but his performance bonuses were like a joke. I think he got $4.2 million in bonuses, and the first 3.7 kicked in off of playing in 10 games. Like, pretty easy to do. Like, I don't think they're going to be, holding, Bergeron and Krejci hostage in terms of these bonuses. Like, oh, you have to hit 70 points to get your full bonus. I mean, both players have all the leverage here, because if they both decide that it's not worth their time to kind of haggle over these things and they go somewhere else or just outright retire, the Bruins are up the creek. They're up the Mystic River.
It's not like they need the money. The Mystic River. It's not like they need the money. These guys do not need the money at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so I think it's either coming down to working on, the language involving those bonuses, which is tricky in and of itself, because not only do you have to, if you're the Bruins, of course you want Bergeron and Krejci back. Of course you want to try to sign them to deals that don't involve a lot of high base salary, so you can fit them in with whatever kind of cap constraints you're dealing with. But you also have to look further down the line. And again, people probably don't want to talk about 2023-24 because you don't really know who's going to be in place and whatnot, but you also don't want to necessarily put $6-7 million in bonuses into next year that they carry over into it, because as we saw with the Bruins in 2014-15, when McGinley was playing for the Avalanche and you had about $4.3 million in dead cap with his bonuses sitting there, what happened? The Bruins missed the playoffs. They traded a very good asset in Johnny Boychuk for pennies on the dollar, and Peter Petraglia was fired very soon afterwards. So it's one of those things where, of course, bonuses will have to come into play. But if you're the Bruins, I also don't think you want to just give them, let's say, each $1 million and then $6 million or something in bonuses that carry over. Because look into next year, if you don't have Bergeron and Krejci, whether they're retired or Krejci goes back to the Czech, you have no set plan down the middle after that. You have to sign Pastrnak. You have to sign Swayman. You don't want that much dead cap sitting there. So it's a tough juggling act for the Bruins to kind of deal with, in terms of, one, finding the right language, the right deal, the right dollars and cents for those bonuses, and two, what we talked about at the start of trying to clear up some cap space. Because even if you get them signed to one year, $1 million base salary, still got Zacha to deal with and that ruling. So you're still going to have to move out money in some area, whether it's a buyout, moving a guy like Riley, what have you, to make this all kind of come together. So there's a lot of stuff they have on the docket before they get to those guys signing those deals.
And you hit on this, right? You have to move out guys if you want to clear cap space. And you've said this, I think I've said this in past episodes. If you are already over the cap and you've got to move guys, other teams have all the leverage. They know you're screwed. If you're trying to trade Mike Riley, they know, like, hey, we know why you're doing this. This is not like, hey, we want some extra draft picks. It's no, we got to get him off the books. So in this situation, I feel like they almost kind of want to wait. I am curious if they are right now trying to deal a Mike Riley or, maybe a Craig Smith or someone along those lines, where they're just trying to get those off the books, get under the cap, get well under the cap, because they are still $2.3 million under the cap right now. or it's like 2.6, somewhere around there. So they're under it, but they could get even more under it. And suddenly, teams are not, they're not holding you over a barrel. Because I do think that is a deterrent from dealing those guys, because you're gonna get considerably less.
Right.
They know you're screwed. Like I think that's what's difficult.
And it's one of those things where, of course, there's other options they can take. You can go into the offseason, you can spend 10% over the upper limit. So around, 90 million if you want to, but sooner or later, you gotta hit under that ceiling at some point. Like those are all short-term measures. Even doing LTIR, of course, the Bruins can go over it by quite a bit when you've got Marchand and McAvoy and Grzelcyk on the shelf. Like I think their combined salary equals out to what? Almost 16, 17 million. Of course, you could, you can use that as a tool and spend like crazy. Hell, you could assign like Nita Ryder and Kadri and go over that limit. But it's not like a Kucherov situation where you got a guy missing the entire year. You're getting it to November, and sooner or later, guys like McAvoy and Marchand and Grzelcyk are going to come back, and you're going to need them back. So you can't push that further down the line. So even if there are options for them to maybe sign Krejci and Bergeron now and kick that problem down the line a little bit, sooner or later the bill's going to come due, and the Bruins have to get under that 82.5 million threshold. So I think the onus is on them now to be creative and make those moves now to clear up cap space before you get stuck in again. I think the last thing you want for the Bruins is all of a sudden getting into late September and you're looking at cutting down the roster, evaluating talent. Oh, and also getting under the cap, right? Like where you're trying to move guys when, as you said, they're going to have no leverage at all if they're trying to move off a guy like Riley or what have you.